Hey friends, welcome to day one of our flexibility stretching challenge. Glad you're here. This challenge is 15 days and I've created it so that one day we'll be doing stretches on the floor or your bed, and then the second day we'll be doing stretches for the same muscle groups but from a seated and standing position. So you have the option of just doing one of the days, or you can do both of the days and see if there's stretches that work better for you, whether you're lying down or seated. There's some things I want you to keep in mind while you're doing this challenge. If you know you have a tight area, you can just jump to that day right now. I've made all of the videos available for you now so that you can pick and choose which areas you'd really like to focus on. And if you want to spend 15 days just stretching your lower back, then just spend 15 days stretching your lower back. Day 1 and day 15 are going to be tests, meaning I hope that you'll be able to see improvement in your range of motion for specific areas. So you'll be able, hopefully, to see a difference. There are 17 different muscle groups that we're going to be stretching: lower back, quads, hamstrings, glutes, obliques, lats, thoracic spine, chest, shoulders, biceps, triceps, the neck area, inner thighs. If there are certain muscle groups, please look below and it'll tell you what day that you will need to go to for that specific muscle group area. Also, there's a link below for a calendar that you can print and track your days so you know what day you're on or what muscle group you want to be focusing on. So there's that calendar as well for you to go and purchase. It's only $4. Won't break the bank, but I just provided that there for you to print and put on your fridge if you'd like. Okay, with that being said, the first part of this workout is going to be the test of stretches, but it's going to be on the floor. So if you don't want to get on the floor or on your bed, stretching in your bed is completely fine too. It's a little bit different than trying to do strength training in your bed or your couch, whatever. But if you would prefer, you can skip to the seated and standing portion and do the assessment there instead. So you have options and you can do both. Today might be a little bit longer than 15 minutes, but that's okay. It'll still feel really good. So I hope that helps. Welcome to the challenge, and let's get started. So we're going to go to the floor. Normally, I'll be doing a warm-up before each warm-up or before each workout stretch session. I'm not going to do that today because I want you to test your range of motion just from a static, not warmed up position. And that will tell you what your true range of motion is, okay? So we're going to go to the floor. And we're going to start with your hamstrings. All you're going to do, you have two options. Because of how your lower back may feel, you can bend your knees, plant your feet, and go to a hamstring stretch here. Or if you want to do a straight leg hamstring stretch, you can do that here. It's completely up to you, and it's just whatever is most comfortable for your lower back. So now what I want you to be aware of, and if you want to set up a camera or have your kids or a husband or whomever, partner, take pictures to see if your range of motion improves, please do. So I want you to take your knee as close to your chest as you can. You do not want to cause pain, all right? You want to do this where it feels good without causing pain. So take your knee as close to your chest as you can. Okay, and be aware, see if you can remember or have those pictures taken. Where is my leg in relationship to my chest? Okay, so if you're here, okay, fine. Just please don't do this huge knee bend because then you're not stretching that hamstring. Okay, let's check the other leg. Hamstring stretch, other side. Please pull above or below the knee, but not at the back of the knee. You might also be aware and take notes, so you can download the calendar I provided for you. Take notes as to if you feel tightness in other places while you're doing a stretch for the hamstring, you might feel tight in your hip flexor. Write that down. you might notice a difference after day 15. Okay, next let's check your lower back. So what you're going to do, plant your feet, and then you're just going to let your knees stacked fall to the left. Do your knees touch the floor? So if I were to go the other direction, keeping your shoulders flat on the floor, do your knees, can they stay stacked, and do they touch the floor? So if this is a big challenge and you don't feel it, this could be a function of having a very tight outer quad. It could be a tight TFL, so outer hip area. It could be tight glute. Lower back could be tight. So there's all our muscles are connected. So it usually is more than just one muscle that's creating that tightness. But make a note where it is that you're tight, and then we'll work on that, okay? So let's go to the other side. Knees stacked, shoulders flat on the floor, and does that bottom knee touch the floor, and can your top knee stay stacked on the bottom knee? Okay, you might notice also one side is tighter than the other. That's normal. Great. Okay, now we're going to flip over into a child's pose. So, knees under hips, or if your stomach is in the way just a little bit, then we're going to go wider with those knees so that that can accommodate. And then you're just going to set your hips on your heels and let your forehead fall to the mat. Here's something I want you to be aware of. If it's a struggle and for example, if your hips are here and you just can't get your hips to touch your heels, you have a space between there, be aware of what it is. Could it be your quads? Are you feeling a massive pull in those, stretch in your quads? That's very likely. It could also be your lower back. So maybe you're feeling even inner thighs. Sometimes people feel inner thighs there. Be aware of what it is, and then know that you really need to focus on stretching those certain muscles during that day, or find the day and stretch those muscles. You can stretch every single day. It won't hurt you. Okay. Next, from that child's pose, is we're going to go to a thoracic stretch. So you're sit as comfortably or in your child's pose as possible. Right forearm on the floor, left hand at your ears, and now we're just going to twist and get that elbow to point to the ceiling. Okay, so this is a big thoracic stretch through that upper back. So see how that feels. Is it your shoulder blades that are tight? Can you even open up that chest, or are you stuck about here? Because that's a lot of range of motion through that middle back. Let's try the other side. Left forearm on the floor, right hand, fingertips by your ear, and then you're just going to reach that right elbow to the ceiling. Really trying to open up through that middle part of your spine. So notice, was that easy? Was it hard? Because we're going to be working that area too. Okay, now we're going to go to an inner thigh. So seated position. We're just going to do that old V-sit. You'll remember this from elementary school, right? Legs are in a V, and then you're just going to go down as low as you can. So if you want to get that ruler out, just like in elementary school, and see how far you can reach, please do. Maybe you won't want to do that. But the goal is just to see how far down you can get. So can you touch your toes? Can you touch your head to the floor? And notice where you're feeling the stretch. Is it your inner thighs? Is it your hamstrings? Maybe it's your calves. The human body is amazing, and it will compensate so much that it'll start using a lot of other muscles just to get the job done. So you might think this is an inner thigh stretch, but when you do it, you're like, oh, why am I feeling this in my hips? We're going to go Indian style next. Now, if you have challenges, with like you've had a hip replacement, it should be okay. But if you're not comfortable with this, please don't worry about it. Or if you've had a knee replacement and your knees just don't bend that way, totally fine too. But also, I'm doing this one just to see about your hip mobility and where you feel this. So some people will feel this in their inner thighs. Some people, what I want you to do is lean forward, dropping your chin to your chest. Some people feel this in their lower back, could be inner thigh, could be glute, could be outer hips. So this is a different test. Maybe it's your ankles. I don't know. Make a note so that you know what you should be stretching and really focusing on. Okay, so now we're going to switch which leg is on top because it doesn't always feel the same both sides. Great. Next, we're going to go to see mobility through your chest and shoulders. So if you have a foam roller, please go get that, or a large towel or a second mat, something that you can lay on from your head to your tailbone, just to create a little bit of arch through your back to open up your chest. Please go get that. All right, so you're going to lay on your foam roller or your blanket or your very big rolled up towel so that your head is supported and your tailbone is supported. So hopefully your foam roller is long enough or your blanket. And all you're going to do, palms facing up, you're going to start with the palms, the back of the hands down by your hips, and then you're just going to go overhead. Oop, so that your palms are overhead. See if you can do that full, get my Bosu ball out of the way, full range of motion. It's a carpet angel is what I like to call these. And notice if can you do that full range of motion with your hands all the way overhead, full range of motion with the back of the palm um, on the carpet. If you notice that it gets stuck in like a 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock position, or if it gets stuck at 11 and 1, or maybe you can't get past 3 and 9, make a note of that because we're going to be working on opening up the chest and some mobility through your shoulders because it's most likely a shoulder mobility issue that you have. Okay, so notice how this feels. The last one we're going to do for your shoulders, so you can go to a seated position. We're done with your foam roller. You can do seated or kneeling, but what we're going to do is right hand and left fingers touch behind your back and just see if you have that mobility in your shoulders, and then we'll switch. Left hand up and right hand behind your back. So notice, was that easy? Was that hard? Lots of mobility through that chest and shoulders there as well. Okay, so that's the first half, the lying portion. I'm going to do some similar stretches, but from a seated position. You're welcome to try both stretches, lying and seated, because you might feel some difference in how the muscles, the muscle tension, seated or standing. Let me get a chair. Okay, so first we're going to start with the hamstring. So please make sure that your chair is not a rolly chair. Okay. We don't want to use office chairs for this one, especially, ones that have rollers on them. Okay, so I don't want you to have a straight leg and bend forward because it'll just translate to your knee, back of your knee. So put a slight bend in that knee, and then you're just going to lean forward and see how far forward you can lean. If you need to hold on to a chair or a wall or a table, please do for balance, but just see how close can you get your chest to your quad, okay? And we're looking for a nice stretch in the back of that leg. Let's switch sides and see. Please make a note because you might notice one leg is tighter than the other. Let's just see how far you can lean. Slight bend in your knee, please, okay? We don't want to have any pulled muscles in the back of that knee. And this is still a test, so we're not going to spend a lot of time in any of these stretches. Let's try your quad. We're going to grab, so see if you need to grab a pant leg, if you need to grab, so a capri leg, a pant leg, back your shoe, like your heel, if you can do the toe, but see how much mobility you have in one, your knee, but also your quad, because maybe your knee joint if you've had a knee replacement, but if you haven't, then it's your quad and hip flexor that are the challenge. Let's try that other leg. Make a note. If you start with a pant leg pull, here, but now next time you can go to a shoe pull or grabbing your foot, you're improving. Improvement's exciting. Great. Okay, now let's go to a seated position. We're going to start with that thoracic stretch. Making, sitting more like center of the chair, not all the way back. Left forearm on left knee, right fingers behind right ear, and then you're just going to twist and open that chest up. And this is going to be for your middle spine. Maybe you'll feel shoulder, maybe you'll feel some lower back. I'm not sure. Make a note of that. And then we'll switch sides. So right elbow, right forearm, right knee, left fingers behind left ear, and then twist that elbow to the sky, the ceiling, and just see how far can you get with that elbow? Can it point all the way to the ceiling? Great. Now let's see how those glutes are. So on the floor, we let our knees fall side to side. Here in the chair, we're going to do a number 4, figure number 4. So cross your right ankle over your left knee. If you don't feel anything, that's a good sign, but we'll see. Now, what I want you to do, keeping your back tall, so we're not rounding our shoulders, keep the back tall, just lean forward. See how far forward you can go. See how close your chest is to your knee. All right, so see, like if you can go all the way, like you can just keep going and going, great, that's a good sign. If you get stuck somewhere in there between there, please notice. So if you're stuck here, know that it's about pinky to thumb, make a note of that so you can see improvement after the time that you spend focus on flexibility and stretching. Let's switch sides. Crossing left ankle over right knee and then lean forward. So keeping that back tall and just lean forward. It's going to be a big stretch in the glute of the leg that's crossed, okay? We'll just see. Oh boy, again, you do not want to stretch to the point of pain. So go to where it feels good and then stop and make a note of how far you were. Next is a V-sit. So sitting at the edge of your chair, your feet are going to be wide, toes turned out, and then you're just going to lean forward and drive your elbows into the inside of your knees. And this is going to be a really nice stretch in those inner thighs. See how far you can get, how far forward you can lean. So if you're here and you're like, whoa, that's a big stretch, know that you're very upright, and the goal is to be able to get a little bit lower. If you can touch your head to the floor, which I don't even know if that's possible, then know that your inner thighs are probably not all that tight. Make a note. Well, next is going to be chest. So you can do this from a seated or a standing position. Either way, the point of the chest is your elbows are going to be out at 90 degrees from your shoulder, and I want you to pull your elbows back so that they're behind your body. Let me do a side view so you can see. All right, so right now my elbows are behind my body. I'm not arching a lot to try to make that happen, okay? So it's all through the chest and the thoracic spine. Now, keeping those elbows behind your body, so not forward, behind your body, you're going to go overhead. So this is another back test, but it's also chest and shoulder. So keeping those elbows behind your body, can you go overhead? Maybe, and have those thumbs touch, okay? So this is the equivalent of being on the floor in that foam roller with doing the carpet angels, the equivalent thing. Last one is also the same one we did on the floor with the shoulder, like tricep, bicep, shoulder mobility, where your fingertips are touching behind you both ways, okay? That's day one. How did you do? How did you feel? Did you realize, oh, I'm tight in a few areas? So go back and look at your notes. Today may have taken you a little bit more time because you were making some notes, and that's okay. Again, in the description below the video are the days that will pinpoint the specific areas that will be working for that day. So if you just want to go straight to that, if you were tight in your quads and your hamstrings and you just want to go to day number 3, please do that. You don't have to follow this program back to back to back. You can if you want. I just want to express and share with you the importance of stretching. I'm going to give you a high five for showing up today, but I also want to give you a visual of why it's really important to keep stretching. I have some rubber bands here, and your muscles are like a rubber band. The more you use them, the longer they last. The more you stretch them, the more pliable they are and the longer they last. But if you don't stretch them, they break. You can pull them. It hurts. You don't have the mobility. And they will not be as beneficial to you as you get older. Can you slowly work those muscles back into flexibility? Absolutely. It just takes time and commitment. Okay? Be consistent. If there's anything that you've learned from me and all the other videos, it's just be consistent. So good job showing up today. I'm proud of you. High five. And I will see you at the next stretching video. Have a great day.